Dreams do not have a filter that your normal, polite, waking self puts up.
Welcome to the hidden meaning of dreams with Sweet Georgia Pam.
It does matter what the dreamer themselves associates with those things that come up in the dream.
Spiritual director, dream expert, author, and educator, Sweet Georgia Pam is here to remind us that dreams are the answer. They're always with you. They know you better than you know yourself, and they're always trying to tell you the truth.
There's some back and forth here between you and some awareness.
And now your host, Melissa Carter.
SweetGeorgiaPam.com is the website you need to go to find out all about Pam. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. If you're not, have been binging this, thank you so much. You know this routine. You can say it with me. She is Sweet Georgia Pam on social media. You can DM her anytime. And 6 Nights to Better Dream Recall is the name of her guide to help you that's on her website, absolutely free to you. How are you, my friend?
I'm so good. How are you?
Good.
The sun is out. The springtime weather is starting to peak out now. So it's like all of a sudden the fog has lifted a little bit.
At the time that we're recording this, I mean, we just got out of a cold spell here and we're based in Atlanta. And it's funny how the sunshine and warm weather really does kind of make you, I mean, my son plays Little League and the games up to this point, I've had like a jacket, a thing over my mouth, a blanket. Like I look like that typical like person by themselves under this parka.
Oh,
and
God.
Then the other night, it was like I was in short sleeves and I was getting warm and it was awesome. And
I think that's spring in Georgia when you have like your whole coat closet in your car so that you have all the layers and you've taken all the other layers off. Like by the end of the evening, it's like 80 degrees. And
you were absolutely right. Your whole coat closet is in your car.
Yeah, with you.
That's great. That's a great. Yeah, it's true. So now we're all feeling better, hoping that it's over. The freezing weather's over. All right. So I do have something to do with heat. I have a listener who wants to interpretation about something, but it's about fire. Okay, so it's not about a hot day. It's about fire. And she says, what do dreams about fire mean? House burning down, putting out fires in the house, world burning around you. And for her, it's been going on for about a year.
Ooh, wow.
So I assume, and she did this online, so this is a request online. I assume she means that all those are different dreams she's had throughout the year. So the house is burning. The world is burning, putting out a fire within the house, but fire seems to be the theme for her this year.
Yeah. That's a big like archetype level dream, right? So talking about archetypes is like these big overarching themes in our lives, right? The major characters or the main characters in our play of life.
Right.
That's to put it like very like
well, some people
elementary archetypes are some you'd have to go to a Jungian analyst to get the full breadth and understanding of what an archetype is. But
I think you explained it very well because I mean, some people do believe that this is nothing but a play that we're in. So, we all need a theme, a through line for it.
So the main theme that comes up for fire for me is transformative, destructive. And so depending on the emotional feel in the dream and the way that a dream plays out, you could look at it as, is this transformational? Is it destructive? Mm-hmm. Is it both? Is one going to lead to the other?
And destructive. And, if you don't mind me jumping in, that I think the first thought is something negative, right? But destruction of something is not necessarily a negative thing. It could be a cleansing thing too, right?
Right. That's right. And if I am me in the dream, I'm going to step into her description of the dream for a minute. If my life is in danger, then it might be my ego identity that is actually in danger of dying, right? Or burning up and being transformed so that a higher version of myself can come through. Even if it's a panic situation in the dream, you can still reflect on it and say, okay, what is making in my waking life, what feels as if it is on fire, what feels as if it is currently in a destructive state, and how can I survive that? What part of me is going to come through that and be stronger and healthier and wiser, whatever. But the other thing that I want to point out too about fire specifically is that it is a natural process. I'm thinking about containment of a fire, right? We send firefighters out to contain fires, but sometimes we also let forest fires burn,
Right.
as a means of reestablishing the, what's the word I'm looking for? Equilibrium in an environment so that new growth can come in. So there's a whole lot at play here. The situations, tell me again what the situations were. The house is on fire or the whole world is on fire around me, right?
The example she gave was the house was burning down, putting out fires in the house, and the world is burning around her.
Yeah. Yeah. Oof, man. So how would I use those dreams if that were coming to me? If I were, okay. So elements, when I think about the elements, the counteractive element for fire is water, or removing the oxygen or removing the thing that is, right? Because fire needs a spark, it needs air, and it needs something to burn.
Right.
So looking at if my house is burning down, what's the immediate response is I need to find water and drown out the fire with water. So when I think about it from the elemental perspective, for me, and so many of our listeners are going to be bringing in their own wisdom and knowledge about the elements. So listeners, apply this to what your knowledge that you have about the elements. Don't rely on my knowledge. But here's what's coming up for me.
Well, and also if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and put them in the comments too, because I think as a collective, we would love to see everybody's idea. This is
a great resource that would be.
This is a village.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, when I think about fire, I think about anger and rage. And when I think about water, I think about soothing, and I also think about spirituality. So if this were my situation, I would look at how do I immediately tap into my soothing techniques and my spirituality to smother this fire so that it stops creating destruction. Right?
Yeah.
Which who knows where that would go for each one of us. We would all have our own response to that, I think. The world burning down around me is that's a survival thing. So a house burning down is losing my foundation and losing my structure and losing the roof over my head, right? But that's not as, what's the word I'm looking for, Melissa? Serious, detrimental? I don't want to downplay it.
Right.
It's not as complicated as the world burning around me. The world burning around me feels as if that is an out of control situation. And it might, in my waking life, I might go, I need to ask for help.
Right.
I need to ask for, this is a team effort because the whole world I'm standing in is burning down around me. So that is a more serious dream for me to pay attention to because it's not just the house. It's not just one structure.
If you don't mind me asking, so to me, it also seems like this is one begets another, because if you are trying to fight and I don't know the sequence of the dreams for her, but if you're fighting a fire within the house and you don't get that accomplished, then the house itself is at risk. And if you don't, I mean, in this circumstance, if you think about it, if the house is not contained in the world, so it to me, it seems like it's a growing threat. Again, that's one of the things where if you were doing an analysis with Pam, she could ask you these questions. But, as you're speaking about this, it's different levels of danger.
Right.
As if one is not taken care of.
Right. I think
bigger and bigger and bigger, whatever the subconscious issue is.
That's such an excellent point. Right. And when I think of the world burning down, I think of hysteria. Right. So,
and nowhere to go. Like to me, at least with a house, you can get outside.
Sure.
But when the world is burning, it's almost like you don't have you don't have any safety. There's nowhere to go.
I read something recently, again, that has been helpful for me, which is that in general, people use dreams to help them reflect on these 5 things, and they're all negative. We use dreams to help us understand and reflect on uncertainty, anxiety, guilt. What are the other 2? Hold on. Uncertainty, anxiety, guilt, grief, and the inevitability of death. It's pretty serious stuff, right? But any of those emotions can spin up into a dream about a raging fire. If I'm angry, that can spin up into a dream about my house being on fire or setting things on fire, because that anger and rage is growing and doesn't have the complement of the water element to help it stay contained. Right? Because fire is useful when it's contained.
Yes, I've tried to explain that to my son, that sometimes anger can be fuel to project you forward if you keep it. If anger is a useful emotion if you keep it contained, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. So there we are with fire and dreams.
Well, it's one of those things where now I'm curious, okay, what's going on with her?
You want to ask those clarifying
ask the questions. And
yeah,
Pam can only go so far without having to ask follow-ups, but that's what your one-on-one session is with someone. If she was here, then you would be able to ask those questions and she could get some insight from that, because I'm trying to now look at my dreams as if it's when you're relaxed and your subconscious is taking over, and if it needs to process something, then it's presenting it to you. So to me, it's information. Because what if she didn't realize she was angry about something? What if it's something that's not so obvious?
Yeah.
I think dreams can really help you give insight to the fact that your body's absorbing and processing something that you're not consciously aware of. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. Yes.
It's
there's so many more layers to dive into.
Sweetmelissa.com. I'm just kidding. You're training me, Pam. You're training me.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy about that, because now there's just more people to talk to about my obsession.
Exactly. And again, if you're watching on YouTube, we do have a YouTube channel, and you can find that at sweetgeorgiapam.com. You can always comment down below any of your insight. If you're listening, thank you so much. And you can always reach out to Pam at sweetgeorgiapam.com. We would love to interpret your dream. So go to sweetgeorgiapam.com, message Pam, or you can DM her on social media. Sweet Georgia Pam is her handle. And we would love to include your dream on the show. And don't forget, if you can't remember your dreams, she's got a free guide for you called 6 Nights to Better Dream Recall. And where would you find that? At sweetgeorgiapam.com. Sweet Georgia Pam, thank you so much.
Sweet dreams, everybody.
The content in this podcast is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Pam Muller is not a licensed mental health professional. If you or someone you know suffers from severe, persistent nightmares, please seek medical help.